Hey, what's going on? Drama22 back with another video. This is a video that I've done before in the past, and it's talking about in your depth chart or your coaching adjustments to get your corners to align by not by overall, not by speed, not by height, not by route running, but by depth chart. Okay. And just to give you an idea of how I'm going to use it. So I'm going to get my guys to align by depth chart. And what that does is when I go into my depth chart, let's take a look at my 49ers team. This is one of my CFMs. Okay. So I have some pretty good corners. I have two really good corners and I have a third corner that I'm going to use in a specific way. All right. So my top three corners here that we're going to talk about Humphrey, right? Really good player, obviously Marlon Humphrey, Tre'Davious White. Okay, just traded for him. All right. And then I have Denominator Lillard that I want to make sure that I get him in the right spot. So I could just align by what? Overall. And Lenore is always going to be on the third best receiver. And that's going to be simple work, but the matchup is not what I look for. All right. This is the one thing I think about playing cover one and playing man coverage that people don't always use. All right. This is a strategy that I used to, that I learned from really back in the day with Rex Ryan. And, um, and, you know, how Dennis Thurman, defensive back coach, how he used to get Revis to match up on the number two receiver, all right, or the number three receiver and just shut him down. Okay. And then what would happen is the rest of the team would double team the best receiver. So what I would like to do here is get Lenore, okay, my third best corner, 83 overall. I'd like to get him on the team's number one wide receiver. Okay. And right now I'm going against my own team. So it's going to be Debo is number one rated receiver. I'll show you in a second. But I want to get Lenore to match up on Debo. Okay. And then I want to get now Humphrey to match up on the second best receiver and Tre'Davious White to match up on the third best receiver. Because what I'm going to end up doing is calling coverages to let these two guys basically play with no help. And then I'm going to double team whoever Lenore is lined. Well, Lenore is going to be on the number one wide receiver. I'm going to try to find a way to double team with the safety or with the linebacker to help Lenore out, thinking that that's probably where the ball is going to go. Okay, so that's the strategy that we're going to do. And the best way to do that is, again, to do it by depth chart. And so what this does is what? Depth chart gets basically how you have your depth chart aligned is going to match up with the offensive depth chart. Okay. Now the only bad thing is that it's not very intuitive. It's kind of a little bit of a workaround when it comes to going up against three wide receivers. And we're going to start there because most people come out with three wide receivers. And then at the very end, I'll talk about if a team comes out with two receivers or less, what happens. Okay. So anyway, Lenore, right? He's my third corner. He's going to be out there in nickel. You need to go over to your depth chart and look at the sub corner positions. Okay. Whoever's in your number one slot corner, whoever's in your depth chart for this position, which is the way it works. This is probably the most important thing. So make sure you pay attention to this. This is the guy that whoever is here that's going to align on the number one rated wide receiver, number one receiver, highest rated overall on the opposing team. Okay. So right now it's Humphrey, right? I don't want that. I want to put Lenore there. Okay. So Lenore is going to be that number one slot corner, okay? And that's what we're going to use. I'm not going to get into dime. We'll talk about that later. But right now, just Lenore needs to be here. That's going to put him against 11 personnel. He's going to match up versus the number one rated wide receiver, okay? Now we go back to our regular corner depth chart. So let's take a look at that. The corner depth chart. So whoever's in this position, whoever is the number one corner here is going to match up against the number two, okay? And then whoever's number two here, whoever's your second corner, is going to match up against number three. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of the matchups. And when I say number three, the third best rated receiver. Okay, so now let's just go over to the other side. Let's just take a look at the receivers, just so you know the ratings. Again, this is one of my CFMs. I'm just working on this. So you have Debo, right? He's 92 overall. You have Brandon Ayuk, 90 overall. Okay, and then right now the third receiver that's going to whoever comes on the field probably can't look at it from here. You're going to have to look at it from the sub receiver depth chart, okay, the slot receiver. All right. So right now, Gray looks like Debo's going to be in the slot, but it doesn't matter. Looks like Gray might be on the field as that number three receiver, or it's going to be whoever the team puts out there. But right now, I know it's going to be Gray. Okay. So Gray is the third highest rated player right now because he's going to be on the field because he's the third receiver according to game plan. If they decided to have Smith or whoever, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be higher than these two. So let's take a look at that. 1, 2, 3. So when we go on the field, we should get Lenore, right? The guy that I put into the slot corner number 1. He should be matching up on Debo wherever Debo goes. I should now get Marlon Humphrey to match up on Brandon Ayuk, okay? And then I should get Tre'Davious White to match up on Danny Gray. All right, so let's take a look at it on the field. All right, so I'm going to come out just in normal nickel man coverage, cover 1. All right, and I'm going to come out versus any type of 3 wide receiver set. So let's just come out and just regular, whatever it is, doesn't matter the play. We're just looking at the matchups. All right, so right now, right, where is Debo? Debo is in the slot on the left of screen. And who's on him? Lenore. Now, some people might say, well, Lenore is the slot corner, right? He's the number 1. So obviously he's going to play in the slot. But I'm going to move Debo around and show you how it's going to change, okay? Now, who's the second highest rated receiver? It's going to be Brandon Ayuk over here. So Marlon Humphrey's aligned on him, okay? And then the third is over here, Danny White's number 6. He is matched up, obviously, with Tre'Davious White. Okay, so that's simple. Now let's just move the positions around a little bit just so you can see what I'm saying. I'm going to call cover 1 again. And this time I'm just going to change if you change the groupings in the bottom, I would put in the backup quarterback and moves the guys around. You can see that Debo's on the right-hand side of the screen now. Danny Gray's in the slot, and Ayuk's over there on the left-hand side. So let's just come out again. All right, so let's find Debo. Debo's over here on the right. Who's going to be matched up on him? Lenore. Okay, so just if anybody thought that it was just because Lenore is the first slot corner, there's nothing to do with that. Lenore is going to go over there and play Debo, the number 1 rated wide receiver. Okay, the number 2 rated wide receiver is covered by Humphrey. He's in the same spot here, and then White is here matched up on Danny Gray. So what you're getting is specific matchups on people. Unlike really sometimes, if you come out and use the overall, you might get specific matchups, but it may not work out the way you want. And the reason why, like I had said, I want to play some coverages where I want to double team Debo and let the other guys work. So let me just give you an example, guys. I haven't really talked about this too much on the YouTube channel, but the guys on the Patreon know about it. The way I play bracket coverage, okay, I'm going to call cover 1 robber. And let's just I want to make sure that Ayuk's in a different spot. Let's kind of move him around a little bit. All right, this one here, wide receiver flip. So now we got Debo's out there at number 1 on the left-hand side. I got Danny Gray still in the slot, and then Brandon Ayuk's on the right-hand side, okay? So let's just come out. Again, we're called cover 1 robber this time. Let's just make sure the matchups are what we said, right? So over here, we have Lenore. He's playing on top of Debo, right? He's over here on the left-hand side. We should have White playing the third best corner still, best receiver, and then you have Humphrey playing over there on Ayuk. Okay, so I get the matchups that I want. And right now, the way I'm going to play this defense, okay, this is not highly recommended versus an outside position, but if I have different rules I'm going to use, I'm not going to talk about it too much right now. But I'm just going to right now play cover 1 robber, let it play out. I'm just going to play some deep half on this side, okay? And maybe I'll even press, okay, Debo, just to kind of influence maybe people thinking, hey, I can get Debo wide open. We have a deep half corner over here. We're playing kind of like 2-man on the left-hand side of the screen, okay? But I'm not really trying. Maybe I'll even use it as safety and just stay over the top of Debo and just let White work on Gray, right? And then just pretty much have Humphrey locked up there. So now I have the matchups that I want. And then this play right here is probably not a great play versus this. But, maybe we could just double team as such, right? And then go for there. But now we have the matchups that we want and we can go play football. So I like this a lot. This works against all different types of formations. Let me try it versus a 3-by-1. Okay, so let's get into 3-by-1. All right, let's just go up against, this is 10 personnel trips. Let's just get into this right here. All right, here we go. All right, so we got 11 personnel. We're going to have Lenore matched up over Debo in the slot, okay? And then we have our same matchups we know. Humphreys over Ayuk, okay? And White is over Gray, all right? So now we got the double team. We can do things like this. Try to double team right here and play 2-on-1 versus Debo, all right? Let everybody else pretty much work by themselves. We do have a middle hole player, a nice guy in the middle, but we can try to play football that way all right, and get the matchups and work some type of like specific double team patterns that we want to work against the best wide receiver, knowing that the ball's probably going to go there, so we're trying to set them up. All right. Now let's just quickly talk about what happens versus 12 personnel. All right. So let's just go back to the depth chart. What happens versus 12 or 21 or any two wide receiver personnel, I should say. What's going to happen is it just goes and takes your normal, it doesn't take into account the slot corner. Okay. So now we just go back to our regular corners and however you have them aligned. So Humphrey obviously is going to play over the number one wide receiver, and White's going to play over the number two wide receiver. We're just going to work these two guys versus the top two wide receivers. Okay. So the slot positioning doesn't matter. So you need to know that as well. So let's just go up against 21 or 12 personnel. Let's just come out in a base defense. And let's just come out versus I formation close, okay? So over here, we have Humphrey matched up on Debo, right? One versus one. And then now we have White matched up on Brandon Ayuk. My number one guy in my depth chart matched up against their number one rated wide receiver. So let me just show you something. Let's say you didn't want that, right? Let's say you're going into a game and you kind of say, okay, you know what? I kind of want to I like Humphrey. I think Humphrey's a better corner, even though I'm kind of splitting hairs right now. And I want Humphrey to match up against Ayuk. And I'm going to, work with Tre'Davious White and we're going to play Debo. Okay. We're going to double team with that. I'm going to let that thing rock out. So I just flipped it. Same thing. So now you're going to see that Tre'Davious White is matched up against their number one wide receiver, Debo. And then right now we have Humphrey playing over their number two wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk. Okay. So however you want, you can make the matchup specific now. That's the great thing I love about it. You can actually take, let's say you're playing a team that has like a young wide receiver who may only be rated 75 overall, right? It may not be very fast, and you're trying to figure out, and your opponent is trying to get the ball to him, right? They're trying to develop them. Well, now you can use the depth chart, get aligned by depth chart, and you can get the specific matchup. A lot of people don't know about this, but I think this is something that you can really use, all right? Hope you guys like this quick tip. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.